Welcome to Life Hacks Beyond Convention with Dee and Sonia. Years ago, I'd read a book or crochet or knit. I never sit still. So, so it's just filling that gap for me. And I can still usually keep a track. I'll answer the quiz questions if I know them, or I'll get them wrong. But sometimes I can be typing away and I seem to be able to do those two things at once, type, and then I'll hear something and my mouth will just open and I'll say whatever my response is. So, yeah. And I love that too, because then if I've got it wrong, I've learnt the right answer, haven't I? Yeah.
And it's not on the public television.
Yeah,
it's just you and Tony.
Yeah, that's right.
Got it wrong.
I'm only competing with me. I'm not competing with anybody else. Yeah.
Now I'd be hopeless on any of those quiz shows.
Yeah, I think people would surprise themselves. Yeah.
So. Nah, I'd be hopeless. Just be like I listen. What's one of them? Something about can you beat a grade 5 or something like that? I've watched some of them sometimes. Yeah, it must be something that occasionally comes up on YouTube, but I think it used to be on mainstream TV.
Okay.
Scripture, how to beat a grade 5. Something, I can't remember exactly what it's called. But anyway, it's been a quiz show, and so you've got these kids on there. It's like, I try and compete with some of these kids. It's like, I'd be sadly embarrassed. I would not go on telly. I'll just do that by myself at home, thanks. Because most of the time the kids would win.
I think, you start watching What Are the Dumbest Things Americans Have Said.
I haven't heard that. So that's the TV show, is it?
It's a YouTube, like you can get lots of different streams on YouTube. Yeah. What part of America is Australia? It's not, it's another country. But what state is it in? And then one bloke got bawled out because he said, no, I didn't vote in the election. And she said, oh, but every vote counts. And he says, I don't live there. The whole world doesn't vote for the American president. Like, just so limited. And yeah, it's amusing and scary at the same time. Yeah. So,
well, as Australians, we're very we kind of are exposed to the American culture a lot, aren't we? Because so many of the TV shows and movies and all sorts of things come out of America. So therefore, we're just like even just look like goes right back to when we used to watch Sesame Street as kids, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah.
So we're so exposed to the American culture, but it's not the same for them.
No.
Because Australia doesn't export as many TV shows or movies.
It's not just that, whatnot. They don't learn geography. They learn America and USA, sorry. I won't say America because America's 2 continents for starters. They learn USA and nothing else. They're not given any other opportunity. And I worked for an American. He was so arrogant. He came and said, oh, yes, well, Texas is the biggest state in the world, and rah, rah, rah. And I went, have you looked at a globe? This is in Western Australia. Have you looked at a globe? What's a globe? What's a globe? Like, I took him into a library and found a globe and went, there's Texas, there's WA. It's just like. So
when I lived up in Woomera, we had a lot of Americans because that was one of the American bases at the time. Oh man, they must be the good Americans because man, I loved those people.
Yeah,
they were so good. They must have been the cream of the crop, I guess.
Yeah, they would have been.
Anyways,
yeah, they would have been educated.
Oh, they were a great bunch of people, and they really. Like I can remember, because when is their Independence Day? Is that July the
4th of July, yeah.
4th of July, yeah. So of course they had these 4th of July celebrations, and we just don't do stuff like that in Australia the same as the Americans do. That was a real eye opener for me, and was actually a little bit out of my comfort zone, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because we're having all of these races where we've made our derby cars out of cardboard boxes. So it's all these adults. We're not talking about
Yeah.
kids. Like out there celebrating July 4th in our derby cars and
Yeah.
running along with our cardboard box cars. And I don't know, I can't remember that one in particular. I remember, but it
Alice
was just
Springs used to have a race in the Todd in the Todd River, a foot race with
yeah,
boats.
okay, yep,
Yeah. So those
yeah.
sorts of
Well,
things
it
have
was
happened, but possibly more
yeah,
in the bush.
maybe yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, that was fun and just I don't know. They just seemed to get into life more than I'd ever experienced.
Yeah.
The way they celebrated was different to how I'd. Not that we didn't celebrate, we just celebrated differently.
Differently. Yeah.
And yeah, and it was really good. And they were very, the men in particular were very caring of women,
Oh, yes. Yeah.
which was also something that was a little bit different because
Mm.
we have much more that egalitarian
Yeah.
culture where I was raised,
Yep.
and so that was well, actually, that was really nice. I didn't
Yeah.
mind being treated like a
It's
lady.
not, yeah. I, what am I thinking? I'm thinking I don't trust it, but that's because of my personal experiences. When someone's
Mm.
been really nice to me, it's meant there'd be danger later. So,
Well, even to the
yeah.
point, because I used to be a lifeguard at the swimming pool there.
Mm.
So we'd have all these different, what do you call them, rosters. So rostered hours and whatnot.
Yeah.
And the American guys, they were, because I was the only girl actually that was a
Yeah.
lifeguard, all the others were men.
Yeah.
And a high number of the men were American men. Like,
Yeah.
so they had a little part-time gig,
Yeah.
outside of their official duties.
Yeah.
And they would they usually would say, oh, like because there were certain shifts where there were teenage boys that were a lot harder to manage,
Yeah.
and so they'd just say, oh, we won't put you on that roster, Sonia. But
Mm.
we'll have the fellas there. You take these other rosters that
Yeah.
were where the behaviours were
Better.
easier to manage.
Mm.
Yeah, and so even just things like that.
Yeah.
Now, having said all of that, there's probably a lot of women that would have thought that was a put down. I didn't take it that way because it wasn't meant that way.
Yeah. It was intended as a protection, but yeah. Mm.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
well, and I was relieved. I didn't want to have to deal with some of those teenage boys towered over me and
Yeah.
could be quite hard to manage.
Yeah. There was a group of boys at the Clare pool one day, and I would have been studying accounting, so she'd have been in the pool with a couple of friends. And these teenage boys had started at the deep end, thrown a ball around, and they had just gravitated, not intentionally, just slowly gravitated into the shallower. And there was a group of women behind me and said, oh, where's the guard? The boys should be told about it. Which and which. And carrying on behind me, and in the end, I just went, hey, Sergeant Major voice, oi, fellas, little kids, get the back. Oh, sorry, I moved away. So
Yeah.
sometimes we just need to pull rank.
Oh, absolutely. And like when I had to be on those shifts, it's not like I couldn't be,
Yeah,
but
but you didn't want to
I
have
just,
to.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Mm. I wouldn't
exactly.
have been
I
able to
just,
do it 2 or 3 years before then. I just got to the
mm,
point where I didn't put up with that kind of shit anymore.
mm. But anyway, that was just more a difference between
Yeah,
at the time, the way the Americans interacted with women and the way the
yeah.
Australian men interacted with women was quite
They're
different.
looking at women and putting women first in a in
Yeah,
a
they were a
cultural
bit more
way, whereas
chivalrous,
blokes don't. Yeah, Aussie blokes don't. Yeah.
but that's because Aussie women don't want them to,
Well, that's
mostly.
another thing. Yeah, if you, I mean, yeah, I'd be described as hyper independent, and I think you would too. And so we're not the swoony girly types. So we need to do something. If you're not available, I'll find a way to do it. Yeah. Or if you're gonna, yeah, assist and you're not going to do it pleasantly, I'll find a way to do it.
Well, that's right. I just
Yeah.
rather do it by myself.
Yes. Oh dear.
Yeah. Well, exactly. If you want something done, sometimes you just got to do it yourself,
Yeah.
don't you? Or you
Mm.
can't get it done.
Yeah.
So
In
I
the
guess
long run, none of us can rely on another person. We have to be as self-reliant as we can in our
mm,
parts of life. And and share and offer to share when we can too, offer to assist others and hope that it'll come back, but doesn't always. So hit the subscribe button below if you want to follow life hacks beyond convention.